Working in consulting is a demanding career path, and most high achieving consultants believe that life and work are a constant trade off, that it's a zero sum game. If you want to be career driven and successful, then you inevitably have to compromise your family time. I'd like to share with you in this video 3 principles that helped me break this kind of mental barrier and limitation, and give you the framing that helped me put everything into context and not only have time to spend with family, but use that time to be generative for my work. And the framing that I want to put around these 3 principles is to see your family as the most valuable client. We tend to do our best and dedicate our, all our efforts to professional clients, right? To clients at work. We deliver projects, we try to make the client as happy as possible, to over deliver even, and they get the best out of us. And when we get back home, we are drained for most days, and the people who are with us all the time, unconditionally, our spouse, our children, our closest friends, they get the least of us most of the time. They get what remains after a draining day of work. And this is not fair for anyone. So I struggled a lot with finding a way to integrate life and work and not feel that I always have to compromise one or the other. So I would like to start with first principle that helped me a lot, which is quality over quantity. Of course, we are very busy, and rarely we have the time to just spend whatever unlimited hours with our family. But this is not important. The amount of time as such is not as important as the quality of the little time that we get to actually dedicate. So instead of having 3 theoretical hours, and I'll talk now for concerning time spent with children specifically, instead of having 3 theoretical hours where children are around, but we are actually engaged in activities for work, it's much better to have 1 hour, which is uncompromised, dedicated exclusively to children. Because this is respecting the child for the value that he carries or she carries for us in the end. They are one of the most important people in our world, and we should honor that. We should honor their time. And I think having this kind of clear boundaries, clear separation between work and life allows us to be fully present with those people who will ultimately remember those very special moments with us, because they only care about being in our presence and us being present totally with them. And because they are small, they will remember that hour as a whole adventure most of the time. For us, it's just 1 hour, but for them, it's like a complete movie, if you want. So don't discount the fact that you don't have a lot of time, even if you have half an hour, even if you have 15 minutes. Just spend it fully with them, because like this, you are respecting yourself, you are respecting your children, and you don't have remorse or regrets later on that pile up because you are not able to dedicate time to them. So this kind of engagement, this kind of presence allows you also to recharge emotionally. Because even if you think that you spend more time working, this drains you in a way mentally, psychologically, because you know deep down that you are compromising the time that you are actually spending with your children. You know that in theory, yes, you are there, but you're actually not there. So don't do this. Just focus exclusively on spending time with your children, no matter how much time it is, and leverage that as a generative activity. Leverage it to give you energy, and you will see that the more present you are with whatever you are doing, no matter how silly it is, no matter what kind of plays you are playing, this kind of activity is generative. Okay? And then you can use this energy in actually doing the work later on after the slot finishes. So remember that memories that will be created both for you and for the children are created specifically when you are fully present with them, and you can remember a smile, you can remember their expression of surprise or amazement when you figured something out together. And you really want to honor those moments because those moments are precious. They are never coming back. And the more the child develops, the less he or she becomes interested in spending time with you. So this is also helping me to have like a constant reminder of what matters most in the end. The second principle that helped me a lot to remove this kind of work-life guilt and give me energy also for work is to operate from future identity. What does it mean? Well, we have the tendency of just cruising along, of engaging in repetitive daily activities and patterns that feel familiar and that don't require necessarily a lot of thinking. Of course, we are thinking about what we are doing, but in terms of the structure of the day in which we are performing certain activities and the way we are performing them, these are rather automatic and they are built along the past years or so while we were developing this kind of habits. So instead of just running on this kind of default routines of behavior, we can actually give like conscious thought to building the kind of life that we really want to live, this kind of ideal life, this kind of future vision of how do we want to be in the world for ourselves, for our children, for our community, for the world at large. If we don't take time and build this consciously in the greatest detail possible, we will just be caught by the flow of daily life, and we will end up in places which we have no guarantee really that represent what we wanted for ourselves. So if instead you have this kind of vision, then you can create in a way a premise for your own transformation, and you can live today as the person that lives this kind of ideal life of yours. Because in the end, nothing stops you to actually decide for yourself how you want to live your whole life. The fact that we go on a default path and we follow certain typical milestones in life, going to certain university, developing certain expertise, then starting to operate and work in a certain place, on a certain domain, and so on. Yes, they are somehow part of the societal structure in a way and framework which pushes us from behind, but we have to be conscious and aware of the fact that ultimately we get to create the kind of life that we want. And luckily enough, today we have the means and I think the liberty to design this more thoughtfully, to not just go with the flow and hoping for the best. Because I went, I was trapped by this kind of mentality for most of my life. And it's not pleasant because it leads to victimhood. It leads to the kind of regrets that cannot be repaired. Because typically we throw responsibility outside on the society, on other people to fulfill us in ways that we ourselves are not really sure how we want to be fulfilled. So this is a very important element. You get to decide what's important to you. You get to decide how you actually want to spend today, because today is representative of tomorrow, and that tomorrow is what you are actually aspiring to achieve. And because you live as that identity today, you inevitably just fall into your ideal life by design, however, not by default. It's like an orchestrated act of daily living. You are engaging actively and exclusively in those activities that you know are representative for the kind of identity that you want to develop for yourself, the identity of your ideal self. Yeah. So this leads me to the third principle, which builds on top of the second, which is engineer your integrated life. Don't seek to have balance. Seek to have a proper integration of what matters most to you. I would say that because we reach a certain level of success in life, we tend to think that this is the kind of life that we have to build on top of. And because we achieved everything by just going all in, it means that we have to continue like that forever. But I believe in having seasons in life. I believe that the 20s, for example, are, yes, for hustle and grind and finding like building this kind of moat around you and your expertise and your capabilities. But at some point, you have to really assess where you are. You have to give yourself the chance to actually live the kind of life that you want to live for the next 30, 40, 50 years. And midlife, I think, it's an ideal timing, if you want, where you can assess this and you can see exactly what kind of choices are you still willing to make going further without having to compromise a lot. So that's why integration is for me so important, because it leads to as little compromise as possible when it comes down to engaging with the daily activities. Okay, so instead of just piling up stuff on top of whatever you've built until now, like new stuff, a new house, a new whatever, just try to remove everything virtually. Okay, don't break anything, of course, but virtually, logically, just tear down everything and start with a clean slate and see what is actually important to you. Have this kind of deep conversation with yourself and look inside deeply and be willing to really acknowledge those things that really matter to you, because those are the ones which will give you more energy and will lead to um, a fulfilled life, an everyday fulfilled life, not a fulfilled life in the future, but a fulfilled life today. By isolating those specific activities that you can do on a daily basis that give you energy and you find value in, this is the whole premise in the end. This is what we want to build. And because you reached a certain level of success, you have this kind of vantage point from where you can look and you can see, okay, I reached at this place. I now have the liberty to think and assess what I've built up to this point, to be grateful for the life that I have, and at the same time to own the responsibility of building from now on the kind of life that I feel worthy of building and that I will be proud of having achieved when I will look back 30 years from now. You want to minimize regrets. You don't want to just go along by doing and engaging in activities that took you to a certain place just because this is more or less the default path for you. For me, concretely, it's about having this kind of discussions and inspiring people who are also, like I was, very caught in this kind of cycle of performance and reaching the next level, and not be satisfied too much time by having reached that level, because there is another level to be reached, and never actually stopping for a moment even and appreciating what I have built. First of all, integrate consciously all the lessons and the learnings in the past years that allowed me to reach that level, and from that place evaluate what is worth still keeping in my life and what should I build towards. This is this is this should not be scary. Okay, this should be a gift that you are making to yourself, and use it as an opportunity to feel the kind of happiness that you know you can feel when you are actually executing on your purpose, when you are actually engaged on a day-to-day basis in generative activities. Me filming these clips is not giving me more free time as such. It takes from my free time in a way. At the same time, it gives me energy. So it's a strange thing because in theory, I am doing work. In theory, I am thinking about stuff instead of just maybe, I don't know, watching TV or just drinking some coffee or whatever. But I do it because I enjoy doing it. And I feel that sharing this kind of insights with people is purposeful. And I know that this kind of video would have helped me 5 years or 6 years ago when I didn't know anything more than just work, 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 and neglecting everything else, including my health, my family, my friends, just because I wanted to prove maybe something to someone. I don't know exactly. So I encourage you to look again to do like an audit of your life and choose to spend, again, quality time instead of quantity. Just choose to spend quality time with your family. And because you have an integrated life, you can structure your daily activities in a way that allow you to carve blocks of time to spend with your family, with activities that really give you energy. Okay, so quality over quantity. Operate from your future identity. Okay, so don't just go on cruise control. Think about how you want to operate, what you want, how you want to be in the world in the future, and act as that person today. And again, the third thing is like engineer integration in life. Don't seek for balance. Seek to engineer the kind of life that just energizes you by default. By just doing the routine tasks day by day, it's everything that matters. So you don't have to wait for the next holiday, for the next vacation, for the next disconnect time or relief from the work and so on. And even if it's like building on top of what you have today, like I'm doing that now with these videos, doesn't matter. It's part of the joy of doing something that you feel is worthwhile doing. So I hope this helps. Again, consider your family as the most valuable client because they are always there and they deserve the best of you. And you will see that by prioritizing them, spending quality time with them will give you back the kind of energy that you're currently missing, that you can then reuse in your work to serve your professional clients as well. So I wish you good luck, and I hope it helps.